like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless. Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm feeling fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance. Not the life I want to live, I want to take it all. Standing tall, fear outweighed the person you are. Oh, break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Hello, post-university esports fans. We're JuggleGod Hammond here, excited to be back with you all, bringing you all the action for post-university. Tonight we got Overwatch 2. We starting a little bit late, so appreciate the patience. We're gonna get into this just as quick as we can, and to start off, it looks like the first map is going to be Lijiang Tower. Love this. Absolutely love Lijiang Tower. One of my favorite maps, and of course, it's a fan favorite as well, and a player favorite too, I believe. So that's going to be very, very exciting. Great way to start things off. Let's talk a little bit about how Post University is doing, though. Post has been on an absolute tear to the start of this season. Through week number 3, they are 9-1 with map differential, which means they are they're sitting at a 3-0 record overall. Um, uh, but right now, the players are getting their picks and bans in. So far, both Reinhardt and Venture have been banned so far. So it looks like we're going to not have a lot of that crowd control that you get with Venture, right? And not going to see a lot of those boops, things like that. And in addition, without that big shield, I mean, that is such a comfort pick for so many players. But I do know that Multikel is fantastic on the Ramatra, Zarya, and Winston. So I don't feel like that Reinhardt ban is really going to affect the team a whole lot. Um, and in fact, probably going to be giving Post University an advantage. So love to see that. And we will again be going into the game very, very soon. But let's talk a little bit about their opponents, right? They're going to be going up against Widener tonight. And with Widener, they are at a, I believe, a 2-1 record right now. They are the number 3 seed in the division in NECC right now. So this, I think, is going to be a very, very good match. I'm very excited for this one. Excited that this is my first one back on the casting desk as well. I'm actually going to throw it to a Be Right Back screen just real quick, just to make sure all of our tech is going just fine. The players are just about ready to get into the game. So hold on, sit tight for just one moment. We'll see you again soon. All right, everybody, we are in the game, and we're gonna have Post University on the right, in the red. Excited to see some of these new players as well, Chewy and Moridin. Post University looks as though they've got quite a bit of depth as well on their roster this year. There's a lot of subs that they're going to be able to bring in and out. It looks like Multikel starting on the Zarya. No, that is a favorite. We're going to see the TP in. Apologies about that. But Post University, with that TP, is able to get to a point first. They're going to be able to hunker down, and it's going to be on Widener to come in and try and do some disruption. Huge picks to start off. That is both supports down for Post University. So Widener absolutely off to a tear here. Multikel trying to hold on as long as possible, and this is great. They just want to get as much percentage as they can because they're at 12 right now. Multikel actually doing incredible work. Eventually goes down. They are able to get one pick in the process. That's going to be 20% on the board to start out for Post University right off the bat. So love to see it. Love to see it. So Widener now. Again, the name of the game for them is going to be, once again, to just stay on point, pull as much percentage as they possibly can. At the moment, Post University deciding which way to go. Looks like they're going to go towards White Room. And that's going to make it very difficult for Doomfist to engage from Widener. Doomfist really needs kind of some open space. Multikill goes in.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard. Огонь по готовности. готовности. Excavation initiation.
Hello, everybody. We are back, and I do believe we have the sound issues worked out. So, thank you so much for your patience. Really, really appreciate it. So, um, yeah, looks like the pick was Rialto. And Genji has been banned at this point, which is an interesting choice, I think, because that ban actually came from Widener, who so far has really shown a preference for the dive compositions. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes for them as they load into Rialto. Now, one of the things I'm thinking about when I think about Rialto as well is Widowmaker, and we saw the Widowmaker being picked by Widener last map, where I don't think like Widowmaker is necessarily a great pick. For Lijiang Tower, but they were making it work, especially on Guardians. I believe they had moved on, or sorry, on Gardens, they had moved away from it. And yeah, okay, cool. Looks like we are going into the game momentarily. So, but more to what I was saying, I feel like the Widowmaker is going to be really, really strong on Rialto, and especially if Post University wants to stay on the Reaper, that's going to be a little bit of a problem too, because Reaper does have that huge head hitbox. So that should be easy picking for the Widowmaker. But only time will tell as we load into Rialto. And it's once again going to be Post University on the right side of your screen, currently leading 1-0. And so far, really enjoyed watching Chewy, one of the new members to the team, who I haven't gotten to see yet. So Multikel right now on Hazard, which I think is a great pick here on Rialto because it means, you know, thinking about all this high ground and everything, going to be really, really approachable, especially with a Milkman. Yep, back on the Widowmaker. Marksman also as well on the Hanzo. So we're going with a double sniper look here. Devil Des, we're going to be looking to them to probably try and keep those snipers up and alive. And here comes Post University out the gates. Walls and shields coming up from both tanks. As Post University kind of gets to the corner here. And this is very interesting. I think Post University has an opportunity to take this high ground and really stage from it. And in fact, that is exactly what we're seeing Moridin do on the Echo. Chewy now going over to the Widowmaker as well, so that'll be fun to kind of watch this Widow duel play out over the course of this match. Multikel jumping in on the Hazard, gets rocked though, forced to back up. Very little health, but is still able to kind of maintain that position with the use of their wall. Now they're going to be backing up, and it is going to be Widener on the aggressive side of things. But Multikel actually managing to stay up. Jojo and Vero doing an incredible amount of work, keeping their tank alive. I mean, Multikel was really holding on for dear life there. And I gotta shout out Ficky right now because Ficky has been hitting so many rocks. So many rocks. We are gonna trade DPS here. Chewy does eventually go down, so honestly, this looks like an amazingly well-practiced map for Widener. Widener is doing a wonderful job kind of keeping everybody at bay. So even though Multikel and Post University were able to stay alive for a very long time, the card didn't move, right? Post University was staying alive, but that was kind of all they were doing. So now, once again, Post University has this high ground, but they're having a hard time really finding any targets to kind of push on. We've got a player in the back line. Hog is able to take out Moridin and Jojo. 2 minutes left on the clock here, and Post University has gotten just stalled in a huge way, but Vero and Chewy making a couple of big plays. That's going to be big for Post University because they're going to be able to spawn a little bit quicker. But Chewy gets a little bit greedy trying to turn that around. And now Post University sitting at 90 seconds to try and get just to the first point here. Widener making just absolutely huge plays here. Gonna see a different approach now coming in from Post University. Multikel onto the Winston, another one of Multi's favorite tanks to play here, but absolutely getting chewed through right now. So Chewy is on the Sombra though, so that could be a great way to kind of take care of some of these snipers, right? Chewy's gonna want to get in very, very close range to one of them, see if they can hack him, take him out. That's exactly what we see Milkman do, but Chewy is taking out Milkman with the help of their support, able to take him out. We got Dragons coming through right now, trying to kick people off the point, and things have kind of stabilized for the moment, but the stable isn't good for Post University. Post University really needs this fight win. Multikel now putting some pressure onto the back line. Lucio having a hard time. Vikiop is able to find Moridin, but the Milkman goes down. That's going to clear up a lot of sightlines for Post University. They're going to be able to push forward now without having to worry about their heads coming off. But 20 seconds left to go here. Post University now without their tank. So this is going to be a very, very quick fight for Post University. 10 seconds to get back to the point. Multikel on the Winston, probably going to be the one who has to touch here, and Chewy is down! The Milkman finds their head! And we can see, Multikel goes for the touch, is able to drop the shield, but it's down almost instantly. They get the Gravitic Flux as well, pulling the Mei off the point, but Moridin, a great idea there, staying in the ice block to try and hold on to things. Jojo is down as well. Post University desperately needs a pick here, but it is just not happening. And one player left on the point. Moridin is back in the ice block. I love it. Has the wall out as well. Did everything they could to try and stay, but it's gonna be a heroic effort from Widener to secure that point. Post University has a big ask ahead of them now. That is where the cart stopped, right next to the statue. Post University really going to need to think about sustain here. Sustain and neutralizing these snipers. I almost want to see a Ramatra pick here, I think, coming from Multikel, but the Zarya is good as well. Because I think what Post is going to want to do, I think, with the Zarya here is shield whoever is going to go in and try and take out these snipers. Which honestly might be Vero on the Kiri. Kiri is an absolutely devastating support when they're played well, and Vero she plays Kiri very well. So that is an opportunity here. Thinking about sustain as well, though, we do have Moridin and Chewy on a couple of the tankiest DPS that they can find. Picking up on the Sigma again. It worked great for him before, so why change things? Moving into this first corner. That's going to be one bubble out for Multi. So we can see they're kind of backing up. But Post University can only back up so much. Oh my gosh. And Chewy gets out by the skin of their teeth. As we can see, Widener's just doing a great job of keeping this cart moving. But this is kind of the first real spot where we could see, I think, like a big hold coming through. But without Chewy on the field, that's going to be a lot more difficult here. Grasp is down, shield is down, so this is an opportunity for Post University to push forward. Moridin forced to go into their ice block here. Multikel has a lot of health left. A nice ice block as well to kind of let Post University find their footing again. But now they're going to have to deal with a Marksman up top who does find Chewy again. That big Reaper head hitbox is just devastating. But Marksman is down low. If Vero, possibly Jojo, can get up there and put a little bit more damage in, that could be good. But now, actually, we've got Hanzo in the back line. And yeah, Multikel makes swift work of them. A great, the comms had to be fantastic there, right? You saw the whole team turn around as Marksman really overextended. So wonderful job by Post University recognizing that opportunity and capitalizing on it. Here comes a rush. We've got a big dragon coming through. Multikel almost goes down. Has gotten split from their team now. We've got a rush coming in from Post University as well, trying to keep Multikel up, and that's exactly what they are able to do. Here comes a big grab. Are they going to be able to make something of it? Milkman goes down. A lot of damage going in. Devil Does very low as well. They're going to be picked off, and Post University just got to keep doing this for another 2 minutes. One of the things, honestly, I really love about Post University, too, is they are very resilient, right? They're not going to let, their emotions get to them here. They're not going to let themselves freak out when they get down a player. In fact, we've seen that twice now. I feel like that's something that, like, Post University is doing very well this season. Is they're able to fight back from a bad point. Big Gravitic Flux coming in, but Chewy says no to Devil Does. That's going to be one support down for each team. Blizzard coming in now. That actually pushes Fikiop into a very rough place, but they're doing a great job kind of dancing in between the shield that they have put up there. Is it going to be enough? Not quite, but it's going to be another trade. So we've got kind of a 3v3 situation again. Another player has spawned from Widener. You can see them just now getting back to point. So Post University on the back foot a little bit here, especially with Moridin and Multikel going down. So Jojo left here. Jojo might honestly just need to back off and try and regroup with the team. About 10 meters away from victory. Can Post University make it in? Big dragon coming out from Marksman. Love to see it. We've almost got the touch. They get there in the nick of time. 0.15 meters to go, but they're taken away right at the last moment, and that map goes to Widener. Yeah, definitely going to be a very exciting match tonight. Yeah, Fikiop just did an amazing job. Like, honestly, the shield dancing coming from them on the penultimate push was very, very impressive. Love to see it. So we have got a match on our hands. 1-1 right now. The number 3 seed Widener against Post University sitting at number 1. So I believe this is now going to be Post University's map pick. Let me see if I can pull up the map pool again real quick. Let's see here. So we're either looking at a hybrid or flashpoint or a push coming in next. So let's think about like what went right and what went wrong between these two maps for Post University. So Post University, let's talk about control first, right? Control a lot of times ends up being a much more deathmatchy kind of a situation, right? And in addition, the kind of the playing space is very, very enclosed, right? The point is very protected. There's a lot of natural cover there, and so I think Post University was really able to take advantage of that. In addition, they just had the answer for the dive coming out from Widener. Now, when things moved into a situation where snipers were a little bit more effective, Post University kind of struggled there. So I liked the direction that Post tried to go kind of towards the end of their attack on Rialto when we saw Multi switch over to the Winston. I think maybe leaning a little bit more into that dive a little bit earlier could be a path forward for Post University here. At least that's what I would like to see. And just to keep you updated on bans, we've got a Venture Band and Zarya. And Suravasa actually is going to be the map. And honestly, kind of harkening back to what I was saying about control point, right? Moving to one of the flashpoints, very, very similar to control, right? It's kind of like 5 control maps at the same time on the same map, right? And again, especially with Suravasa, these maps are fairly enclosed as well. You know, thinking about the very first one, right? That one, oh, what is the? It reminds me of several of the other control maps. Point being, I think this is a very intelligent pick for post university. So the question is, what is Widener going to try and do in response here, right? Because the dive didn't work. The dive was shut down. Do they stick kind of with this brawl composition that they used last time to see if they can reproduce the success that they had on the escort map, right, on Rialto? If I were Widener, that's probably what I would be doing right now. Is looking at that as kind of the solution. But we're loading into game. All of our questions will be answered soon. So let's see what things are gonna look like here. So yeah, look at this. Closed. Very closed map, right? And most of them are, honestly, I feel like on Saravasa. But let's go look at this first point too real quick. Whoops. I apologize for my observing everybody. This control is a little more sensitive than I am typically used to. But again, very, very closed in point. So no sides have been swapped. We are back. And this is interesting. It does look like we are going to see dive again coming out from Widener. This time, though, with the D.Va, so that's an interesting pick. I mean, Moridin, I think, is going to have to be very aware, right, of how much charge Fikiop has, because they definitely don't want their Blizzard getting eaten. But Post University does such a good job, honestly, getting to point quickly. Now we see the dive coming in. Vero gone down pretty low, trying to keep their team alive from below, and beautiful job by Post University to secure kind of the first point. Big damage coming into Chewy. They're forced to back off to the point. But honestly, this is great for Post University. You know, when we're at a flashpoint too, these ticks go up a lot quicker than in other map types. Augustad finds Vero though, and that's going to be the signal for the dive to come in. We can see Vicky up top putting in the damage in. They're able to just kind of melt through Post University as soon as they got that pick. So that's really kind of exactly what you want to see in a dive composition, right? Is you want to see them wait for an opportunity. And an opportunity can look like a lot of things, right? In that case, it was a pick. But it could be a specific ability that you're waiting to get out, right? It could be somebody going out of position, right? There's all sorts of things you can look for as a dive composition, but that's kind of the name of the game, is to find the opportunity, take it, capitalize on it. So Post University starting to poke here, and Post is going to have a little bit of an advantage trying to push into this dive composition here. You know, Ram is going to be able to punch through the defense matrix that Fikiop has. Post University pushing to point. Chewy is down. Jojo as well. Moridin falls to a big, honestly, rush coming out from Hog's dad to kind of keep that point in their favor. So Post University has one more opportunity now to try and secure this point. Love seeing the adaptation coming in, by the way. I think that Widener has done a fantastic job of that. So what is going to be the adaptation now that Post University needs to make, right? Are they just waiting for their ultimates to come up? Marksman goes down very low. We do get the touch on the point. Post University bamboozles everybody. Big Deadeye coming out from the Milkman. Finds Chewy. Jojo trying to hang on. Are they going to be able to get their ultimates up in time? There we go. Multikel's able to get there. Spikiopto finds Vero. That's big. Going to get the self-destruct coming out. Huge wall coming out from Moridin. The Blizzard on the point. Fikiop goes down. Opportunity for Post University. It's only one player from Widener on the point, but four of them still alive. The tank is down, though. Devil Dead's gone. Multikel with a huge ultimate in conjunction with Vero and Moridin. What a turnaround for Post University, and there's that resilience that we're talking about. And look at this as well. Widener emptied their clip, so to say, for as far as their ultimate's concerned. Marksman gonna have the pulse bomb, but in a lot of cases that's almost an ability, right? Can be a bit of a throwaway. So I'm gonna be looking for Chewy here to make big plays, probably on the back of Jojo's ultimate as well. Looking to see them really, you know, find that opportunity. Here we go. Might get the blade coming in. Yes, there it is. Both of the ultimates coming in. Huge blade from Chewy, trying to catch up to him so we can see the carnage that is happening. Both teams pushing to point right now. Vero goes down, but still the lion's share of the players who are alive are post-university. What an exciting first point here on Suravasa. Back and forth it goes. And again, I just feel like that is going to be the name of the game tonight here. For both of these squads. So I think this one is this point in particular is going to work very, very well for Post University. Not a lot of great entrances here. Diva's boosters used, throwing in the micro missiles as well. Here comes a rush from Hog's dad. They're gonna try and push through here, but they can't. The Gap just has too little health. Moridin has the blizzard. Throws it out possibly a little bit early, in my opinion. I mean, it does help them secure the point, but they're not able to get any kills with it. Strike that. Multikel finds Picky Hop. So 7% on the board here, and yeah, Widener doing the smart thing here and just kind of backing off. Marksman, yeah, that's what you got to do in a situation like this, right? Just respawn with the team. But Post University gonna see if they can get those staggers. And again, I apologize for making anybody seasick with my observing tonight. Unable to get the POVs right now, and this controller is definitely a little hot for me. Moving pretty quick. But now we can see this is interesting. Widener trying to take like approaches from a lot of different angles, which is what you want to do with Dire, right? That's how you kind of want to try and approach the point. But the big headshot coming in from Chewy, they are eventually going to fall, but 76% on the board here for Post University. Widener, again, doing what they need to do, which is back off, because they know they've only got one more shot at this point. Otherwise, it's going to be Post University's. They have to bide their time just about perfectly here. Going maybe a little bit early, got a couple of ultimates coming out. Multikel pops theirs as well. There's the self-destruct, trying to clear the point here. Multikel goes down. Big Deadeye from the Milkman, finds two more. That's going to be a huge fight win for Widener, but again, want to draw your attention to the old bank here. Widener, I feel like, is having a little bit of a problem holding on to their ultimates, right? Not just using them all at the same time, right? Because now, Post University, they don't necessarily have any of theirs either, but they are a lot closer. The old rotation, I think, has been a little bit stronger for Post. And with two teams that are this closely matched, those little differences could be the name of the game. Milkman goes down, responsible for really breaking open that last fight. Multikel pushing the point with the rest of the team. Jojo has her ultimate as well, but I don't think Post University needs it. I think they hold on to them here. Hawk is dead. I didn't see it, but might have slept in Chewy. He's able to get the kill there. So this is a little bit of a problem for Post University. Big ultimate coming in now from Jojo. Hog's dad, though, gets the nano onto Picky Out, but it's not going to be enough to keep them alive. As Post University now really kind of controlling the playing field, controlling the point. Vero finds one more. Post University taken down. A last-second attempt to stay alive. They are doing a good job trying to rotate on point, but oh, it looks like Devil Nose came in just a little bit early. Still falling in. Now they've got Picky up there. Marksman finds one with the pulse bomb. That's good. They go down. But if Picky Up can buy enough time to stay alive, then more of the team could get back. But now it's just a mini Diva. But my gosh, they're doing a good job. Almost gets the squish kill. Not going to happen. Post University has 2 points here. So what is it going to be this time? Again, look at this. So many closed-in points here for Post University. Just wonderful, wonderful opportunities for them. Widener actually able to get to the point very, very quickly, so Post University doesn't have quite the time to set up. You can see Tracer kind of now flanking in the back line, probably looking for one of the supports. So they're kind of playing high over here. So yeah, that Tracer forced to back off there. So now, again, kind of with this dive composition, Widener kind of going for almost like this full frontal assault here. Milkman is down. Hog's Head is down again. Big wall coming in. I gotta say, Moridin, your walls, your May walls, spectacular. Been loving them all game. Does get the squish onto Multikel though, so Widener, Ficky Up is still alive, right? But not gonna really be able to do anything about it. They are gonna be able to go back, kind of taxi their team in, so Post University just might have to give away the point. Oh my gosh, so much damage coming in, but Ficky Op gets blocked by the wall. They just use their boosters, so they can't really do anything. They gotta wait for the team to come in and support them, and that is just enough time for Post University to get back to the point. And you can see Multikel pushing forward, leading the charge. This is interesting. Devil Daz has also gone over to the Mercy. Definitely going to make it a little bit more difficult for Post University to find that team, or to really, rather, find that support, but didn't really look like they had much of a problem. 80% here. Post University just needs to win one more fight on this point. And I'm not even sure if they're going to be able to get much of a touch here. Yeah, we do see Farah coming in. Marksman trying to make it happen. Blizzard on the point, though. Nobody else touches. Post University going up 2-1. Chewy getting the Genji play of the game. Let's see it. Oh, I thought it might have been the blade at the beginning, but nice deflect there. Finds the Ana, trying to put the damage in, but wonderful play there from Chewy, and great work from Post University. So 3 maps in, Post University 2 points, Widener with 1. Post University gonna look to clutch it out here, but if I'm being honest, I feel like these are 2 very intelligent teams, very evenly matched, and so far it honestly feels like it's just coming down to the map pick, right? So at this point, if Widener has another map that they are feeling exceptionally strong on, we could very easily be going to a map number 5. So I'm excited to see what's chosen here, and let's see. I believe the last one that we have, yeah, Push is gonna be our next option. It's gonna be either East Esperanza or New Queen Street. Now, if I'm Widener, I'm picking New. I think I'm picking New Queen Street, right? Um, and for several reasons. For one, a lot of wide open space, a lot of high ground, right? That's going to be um, not necessarily the wide open spaces are going to be good, unless you're playing like a wrecking ball in that case, right? Who's able to really kind of take advantage of that. But I still think with the Diva, it could be a pretty big advantage. Um, oh, I think I had my hold on one second. But they picked King's Row, so I could be completely off the mark as far as which map type we're on. I thought it was Push, so just double checking that in the chat right now. But King's Row, speaking of classic, right? It's like, uh, okay, yeah, cool. They're going back to repick, because yeah, it should be Push at this point. Cool. So there, I'll get back to you on the map choice there. But honestly, if it's King's Row, my money is on Post University. I think, or sorry, that could go either way. You know, Widener's certainly not going to go dive on King's Row, not when they have this such a strong brawl composition that we've seen before. It really, I guess, it was Poke. It was really Poke that did the job on Rialto. So Esperanza, I think, would be the better choice for Widener here. And they pick it. Yeah, because the reason being, I think you can go to either the dive or the brawl composition or a poke, really. And one of the things that I think separates Esperanza from, say, New Queen Street is that Esperanza has a lot of twists and turns, right? A lot of natural cover, and that's really going to benefit, I think, the either the brawl composition or the poke composition. There is also pretty omnipresent high ground opportunities too. I would say, except for like the very, very start of the map, right? When you're looking at Esperanza, that push bot is right. We'll see it in a second if you're not familiar with Esperanza, but there's kind of like a giant tower right next to where this bot starts. And sure, there is high ground, but it's not as useful. I think once the bot is moved to like 15 meters, 20 meters, maybe, then we're starting to see the high ground on either side. And that high ground is really going to be there kind of all the time until you get to the very end of the push map. So, as far as the snipers are concerned, it could be very easy picking for them. So again, post university gonna have to watch their head because I'm you know what little money I have, I would put on them picking snipers again. So um what's going to be post university's answer here? I would like to see them, I think, move to the dive composition a little bit quicker if whatever they do start out on is not a dive composition. We do have a couple of bans coming in now. So Reaper has been banned by Widener, which again makes sense, right? We've seen that be a favorite of Post University right now. It's kind of interesting because it means that big head hitbox isn't going to be there, and that was certainly, I think, a boon for them on the snipers. But I think just not having that threat there is a big deal. On the other side, I think this was a great ban from Post University. A couple of really good bans here, honestly. Post University decides to ban Sigma, and that's really going to cripple, I think, any kind of a PO composition they wanted to do. So at this point, do they get Ram? Do they get Rhine? Um, the options aren't as good for them. Honestly, we could just see Widener say, like, you know what, we're just going to go with a dive at this point. Because again, I think while Esperanza not necessarily one of the strongest maps for dive, if it's your first time watching me, I am a dive tank main, honestly a wrecking ball main, and I like Esperanza for dive. I think there's a lot of great opportunities, so we could see that coming out from Widener as well. But again, only time will tell. We're going to be loading into the game relatively soon here. Post University trying to lock this one down, lock it away with that 3-1 victory over Widener. But this has just been such a phenomenal match. I'm so excited again to be back here casting for Post University, and we're going into the game. Let's see what we have in store in Esperanza. Ah, perfect. Okay, yeah. So we're starting out right here. You can kind of see what I was talking about, right? There's the bot, right? Now I'm kind of hovering over this high ground here, but as you can see, like there's not a lot of great angles to start out with. Now, if the opposing team is also on the high ground, sure, awesome. But at least to start, this is honestly kind of the one of the points of the map where there's the least high ground. So it'll be interesting to see who comes away with this first fight win, because another stat that I like, there's several stats about push maps that I think are very, very important. One of them is whoever wins the first fight, very likely to go on and win the map. Very likely, right? You're really fighting from behind in a big way if you drop the first fight. The second one is kind of one of the point of no return. The point of no return in a lot of cases for push map is going to be the 100-meter mark. So again, those are going to be two things that we're going to be watching for here as both of the teams come out. Multikel on the hazard, which a fantastic point. I love seeing this. I haven't gotten to see the Multikel hazard until this season. So, and I'm so here for it. Let's see what the teams decide to do. And yeah, Widener did opt to go for the dive, which I think makes sense given that Sigma was banned. Moridin as well with, I like that with the turret, basically. That's going to cause a lot of problems, especially to this Mercy and Vero, right? That's going to be a big thing. But I like the way that Widener is approaching this. They go for the high ground kind of behind Post University, putting in a lot of damage here, but Vicky Up goes down. What a huge cleanse coming out from Vero to keep Jojo alive. So Post University is going to be able to get this bot pushing first. And we can see Widener they understand the dive composition, right? Look at these different angles that they're taking. Mercy though, playing with fire right there. Almost gets caught out. at this point, Post University really needs to be cognizant of this high ground, I think, right? Because Marksman just getting to the kind of free fire here. August Dad does find Chewy. Is Post University going to be able to get this first point, though? Not quite. Jojo does go down, so Widener putting the pressure on, and like a wave, they're able to overtake what is left of Post University. Multikel sticks around for as long as they can, but back and forth. Which again, I honestly think is the way this is just going to go the entire time. Picky up, getting that high ground position ready. Marksman recharging those boosts. No changes coming in from Post University, and honestly, I really like the composition here. Also, again, big shout out to Jojo and Vero, just holding down the backline here. Jojo does take some damage, but is starting to recuperate it. Beautiful move here, kind of like pushing Widener off this high ground. Oh my gosh, I said Hazard the entire time, but we are not on Hazard at all. We are on Maga. Basically, turrets. Turrets for days, big guns is what Post University has. And look at this. Post University getting picked off, but Multikel says, you know what? Whatever. I got your bot. All that progress you thought you were going to make is going to take a little bit longer. So eventually pushed off. Multikel probably going to fall here as well. I don't think there's any way they stay alive. I like the idea, but I think Multikel probably should have just stayed on point and died on point, right? So that they're able to kind of respawn with the team a little bit faster. Because at this point, Widener's probably going to be able to get this point, right? I don't know if Multikel is going to be able to get back in time, even with that big rush that Maga has. So we're starting to see the push come through on this high ground here. Chewy going down low, so it was Moridin. Multikel as well. Big plays coming in from Widener, and I think it's all but a foregone conclusion that, yeah, they're going to get this first point. That's big. So this point, Post University, I think, just kind of needs to regroup. They need to stabilize. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do that with Vero going down and Jojo. So both supports are down at this point, but that's huge. Two support ultimates used by Widener to kind of secure the fight win that they already had. And Post University is sitting on 5 of theirs. So again, there is that kind of old management, the old rotation that I was talking about earlier. Post University really doing a great job of it. So even though Post University is now kind of fighting from behind, they've got the ults coming in. The big thing is they just need to make sure they don't spend them all. So Multikel now down on the point, trying to put pressure on that, keep that bot from moving as the rest of the team kind of pushes in. Vicky Op loses that high ground. Big charge coming in from Multikel, able to take out Vicky Op in a big way. That bot moving quickly, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 pick. But with a tank down, things might be looking a little bit better here for Post University, especially considering that Vero finds the Milkman too. And again, that's that aggro Kiri, right? That is that you want to see. Yes, Vero support, but a lot of times the best kind of support is getting the pick. And that is exactly what Vero has done here. Post University was forced to use 3 ultimates. They do get the forward spawn now, so that's pretty big. Oh, big barrage coming in from Widener. So that's going to be a fast team wipe there. But again, Post University, they got that first checkpoint, so that's big. That's very big. So we kind of watch the bot move along here. Let's take a moment to talk about Chewy going over to the Bastion, right? Because that's just going to kind of feed into what Multikel is already doing, just with this like huge, obnoxious amount of damage coming in. Multikel having to fight from below here to try and kind of push the cart, but with a very tanky tank like Maga, you're kind of able to do that. You're kind of able to absorb some of this damage. Ooh, Chewy going down though. Multikel might have gotten a little bit ahead of themselves, left the kind of their DPS out to try a little bit. So Milkman does fall though, so it's going to be 1 pick for 1. Multikel does find Hog is dad. And, you know, this is honestly, again, kind of harkening back to what I was saying about deathmatch, right? And how control kind of works that way. Honestly, Post University kind of turned this into a deathmatch here. They saw that, like, yeah, we're going up against a dive competition, which means they're going to take a lot of different angles. why don't we just beat that angle one by one, or each of those individual angles? And that's kind of exactly what they did there. So it ended up working out pretty well for them, because I honestly think that like each of their individual heroes on Post University has more sustain. Big ultimates coming in now. Double support ultimates for Widener. That's going to make people very difficult to kill, and it gives Milkman the time to find the pick onto Jojo. So now Post University does have the lead by fractions of a meter. Milkman finds Moridin again. Ooh, big dive coming in from Pikiop. Recognizes that the Suzu is out now, so that means that Vero's going to be a lot easier to pick apart, but the pick doesn't end up happening, at least onto them. Chewy goes down instead, but look at this progress now that Post University has made. 95 meters. It is only a 10-meter difference. 3 minutes to go here in this back and forth, knock him down, drag him out match that we've got going between Post University and Widener. And it's honestly going to be very interesting to see kind of what the landscape looks like in this division after this matchup, right? Because, you know, either Post University kind of secures themselves at the top of the playing field here, or they leave an opportunity for probably multiple teams to really threaten them. Big old coming out from Multikel, trapped several people inside of it. It's going to be Moridin, though, with the Molten Core all over the floor. But Pikiop does find Maga, so that could cause some problems here, but not enough problems to keep the bot from moving. Bot is still moving forward as Pikiop has to back off. And I like that Chewy went to the Soldier 76 here. More mobility, right? That Tac Visor, I think, is arguably a more powerful ult, right? Like, there's a lot of point clearing ability, I think, from Bastion's ultimate, but if you want to get picks, and especially picks on Devil Dez and Marksman on the Pharah, then I think Soldier is absolutely the pick here. Big high ground. There comes the ultimate. Post University dropping in behind. They're able to find both supports, and it's almost a foregone conclusion that this fight is going to be Post University's. So, can Post push over that critical 100-meter mark? The other thing to think about, too, right, is now the impetus on Widener is for them to win 3 fights in a row, I think, to try and get the bot back to the point where they're threatening the lead. We've eclipsed that 100-meter mark. Here comes a big ultimate coming in from Hog's dad. We've got the Kitsune Rush. Post University wisely backing off, just letting that expire, saying, you know what, yeah, go ahead, use your ultimate. We're going to make it a non-issue. Hitting over here to this corner, Widener picks up that high ground. Multikel holding down the point now, backs up to support their team. That's going to allow the bot to move forward, but they're putting a lot of pressure now onto Pikiop. It's going to be a trade, a tank for a DPS. Usually that's going to go the way of the team that gets the pick on the tank. So Post University once again pushing forward. Under a minute left to go here. And again, I promise you, I'm not casting from the deck of a ship. This is just a very sensitive controller. Chewy does go down. Big hits coming in from the Milkman. Milkman gonna go ahead and shout them out. Wonderful Widow player. Has been the thorn in Post University's side this entire match. 30 seconds left to go. Widener has to be perfect from here on out in order to win this match and to keep their hopes of taking this series as their own, because Post University just needs to win one fight, and this is over. They will win 3-2-1. Big ultimates coming in, but Marksman does find Chewy. That's going to be big for Widener, but 2 players go down. Post University has the win in their grasp. They just need to find Marksman and the Milkman. Nobody is on the point. Post University takes it 3-1 over Widener. What an exciting match tonight, everybody. That's right, Jojo. Do a little dance. You've earned it. Yeah, the Milkman, honestly. Huge plays. Huge plays. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, massive headshot. I mean, on Jojo, who's moving through the air as well. Amazing work here. But what a phenomenal way, honestly, for me to come back to Post University. Absolutely fantastic work from everybody. Really, really exciting match. Love the new addition, Chewy, doing fantastic work. Holding down that DPS spot. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. What else can I say? We're here in week 4. Post University now sitting at a perfect record, which is incredible. And something you can say about that though is there's a big target now on Post University's back. So whoever's going to be coming up against them soon is they're certainly going to be coming and bringing their A game to Post University. So it's kind of the curse of being on top. You know that everybody's got you in their sights. So looking forward to the rest of the season. I think Post University such a strong start, and I don't think they're showing any sign. They're going to show any signs of slowing down. I think one of the big things that I love about this squad in particular is how resilient they are. There were so many instances where it really looked like it was going Widener's way, and Post University just kind of, took a deep breath, stayed calm, and they were able to turn things around. So love to see it. Absolutely fantastic work from everybody. Uh, Hoping to be back on the mic next week as my schedule allows, and certainly really looking forward to being back on the desk with everybody here. Congratulations, Post University. Wonderful work, Widener, as well. I love to see your team play. Love what you've got going on. Best of luck to you as well in the in this division moving forward. But that's gonna do it for us here tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Um, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Are you afraid of the dark? Are you scared? I can see you from behind. You can hear me in your mind. Run so fast as you can go. Time will catch you before you know. Are you afraid of the dark? Are you scared? You know, I am you. I'm coming closer. I will catch you. The time it goes tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Are you afraid of the dark? Are you scared? You know, I am you.
of gold after my silver soul. Can you dig any deeper now? I gave you all I own, put you on this golden throne, but I'm a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself